Okay, so we're going to be reviewing something we did on the last unit because it's going to be on our next unit. And we really didn't do very well with it as I would hope for. And so one of our problems I see is we actually don't read the word problems. And so we're going to practice today is word problems and understanding how to break it down. So number one, I'll do with y'all. So it says Bobby's building a garden for his backyard. The garden has a width of 9 inches and a length of 6. He has an area of 54 square inches. He wants to increase the width of the living room, but leave the length the same. The following table shows how the area Y changes as the width X changes. So I want to find out, I need to find the constant, basically how much is constantly increasing by. Well, Y constantly increases by 6. And then the X increases by 1. So if I told you before, you put Y over X is equal to 6. So in this, what I've told you before is the first set of numbers would be 54 over 9, which equals 6. I also want you to find the change of Y over the change of X. What I mean by change of Y is you subtract the 54 and 60, and you get 6. And you subtract 9 and 10, which you get 1. So that would be 6 over 1, which is 6 still. So it's a different way to do that. So then we plot our points. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to go up by 6s. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So then you have a point about right there. And then 12 does not want to make a dot this morning. And it should go up at a constant rate of increasing by 6 every time. So then on B, it asks, write an equation to represent the relationship between X and the width of the room and the Y of the area. Well, so my constant 6, so I would write Y is equal to 6X. And using this information, it asks you for the constant rate of change, which is 6. But I found that first because it's easier to have the constant rate of change to create the table, to create the graph, to create the equation. Okay. Number 1, in Mr. Thomas's class, well, this is actually number 2. In Mr. Thomas's class, students were given a rectangular greeting card. The table shows the length and the area of each card. Write an equation to represent the rate of change between the area of card Y with a side length of X. Okay, this one I actually want you to fill in a chart before we actually do it. So the chart I want you to fill in, it says, what is the question asking you to do? And what do you know from the problem? So this question is asking write an equation. Okay, that's what you write. It says to write an equation. So that way we don't get this mixed up. And what do I know from the problem? Well, the only information they gave me from the problem is this table. So the table that shows the values for X and Y. Okay, so my plan of strategy is to find the constant rate of change by finding the change of Y over the change of X. In your next box, it says to show your work. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to find the change. So the change between here is, I believe, 7. And then change here is 1. So remember, Y goes over X. So the change of Y is 7 and the change of X is 1, which equals 7. So I didn't write my equation though, right? Because the problem's asking for an equation. All I did is find the number 7, which is a constant rate. So my equation would be Y is equal to 7X. Okay, so then on your sheet, you would write my solution is Y is equal to 7X because I found the constant rate of change. Okay, so now you try one. You pause the video and try one. In science class, Dave learned that 1 liter is approximately 38 ounces. Dave created a table to help him convert between ounces and liters. Write an equation to represent the constant rate of change determining Y ounces for X liters. Okay, so you do the same thing. What's the equation? To write an equation. Okay, what's the question asking you to do to write an equation? What do you know about the problem? Well, the table shows the values for X and Y. What's your plan and strategy? find the constant rate of change by finding the change of y over the change of x. So let's do that. So this is x and increases by 1, and this is y and increases by 38. So remember, y over x is equal to 38 over 1. But it's not what I'm asking for. I'm not asking for the constant rate. I'm asking for the equation. So my equation would be y is equal to 38x. So then your solution would be, my solution is y is equal to 38x. It makes sense because I found the constant rate of change. Okay, next. Beth makes bracelets to sell at the local market. She makes $60 profit on 15 sets of bracelets, and she sells $72 profit on 18 sets of bracelets. What's the constant proportionality represented in this relationship? Okay, well, let's break this word problem down. First off, what is this question asking you to do? What is the constant and proportionality? Okay, that's what it's asking for. Now we got to figure out, what do we know about this? So what did the problem tell you? Well, we know that constant proportionality also means unit rate. So it's basically just asking you to find me the unit rate. So my plan of strategy, we find the unit rate by dividing the ratios. We can also create a table and find the change of y over the change of x. So let's do that. So my first ratio is $60 for 15 sets. My second ratio is $17 for 18 sets. If I divide that, I get 4. And if I divide this, I get 4. Or I could have made a table. This would have been 12. The change of y would have been 12, and change of x would be 3. Well, you put 12 over 3, which equals 4. Okay, I'm pretty confident now that my unit rate, which is also my constant proportionality, is 4. So my solution will be y is equal to 4x. I actually wrote an equation, which should have just been the number 4. And this makes sense because the unit rate is 4, which is also known as the constant rate of change or the constant proportionality. Okay, all three of those are the same thing. All right, next one. Jacob conducted an experiment in his math class and recorded the data below. What's the constant proportionality represented in this data? Okay, same idea. What's this question asking for you to do? What is a constant proportionality? What do you know from this problem? The constant of proportionality also means unit rate. Write your plan of strategy. Find the unit rate by dividing the ratios. We can also create a table and find the change of y over the change of x. So it's basically the same thing we just did, but this one actually gives you a table. So I'm going to find the change of x over change of y. So the change here is 2, while the change here is 10. So y over x is equal to 10 over 2, which equals 5. So my constant is 5. Or y is equal to 5x. And this makes sense because the unit rate of 5 is also known as a constant rate of proportionality. I gotta fix this. There. All right, next one. In Mr. Mason's math class, students were given a rectangular shape. The table shows the length and the area of each rectangle. Write an equation to represent the rate of change between the area of a card, y, with the side length of x. Okay. So what is this asking you? To write an equation. What do I know? The table shows the values for x and y. Find the constant rate of change by finding the change of y over the change of x. Okay, let's do that. So change of y is 8, and change of x is 1. So 8 over 1 equals 8. So my equation would be y is equal to 8x. So my solution is y is equal to 8x because I found the constant rate of change. Okay, we're going to skip this one. This is very similar to the one that you just did on the very beginning. And we're going to do the last one. In science class, Brian learned that 1 meter is approximately 3.2 feet. Brian created a table to help him convert between meters and feet. Writing equations represent the constant rate of change to determine y feet for x meters. All right, what do I know from this problem? To write an equation. What do I know? Excuse me, what is the question asking is to write an equation. What do I know from the problem? The table shows the values for x and y. My plan and strategy is to find the constant rate of change by finding the change of y over the change of x. So the change of x is 1 and change of y is 3.2. So you have 3.2 over 1, which equals 3.2. So that's my constant, which my equation would be y is equal to 3.2x. So my solution is y is equal to 3.2x, and I know it because I found the constant rate of change. All right, I know a lot of these were repetitive, and a lot of these seem really easy, and that's not my problem. My problem is when y'all do it, y'all think it's easy, and then when I give you the test, you don't break the problem down. So what I want you to do is practice these skills of breaking the problem into chunks. All right, thank you guys.